perfect world. You're too perfect world. You're too perfect world. You're too perfect world.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Rockpile Report podcast. I'm your host, Bill, season ticket holder Drew Geary. That's my producer, Chris Kruger. In studio with us tonight, Mr. Nathan P. Geary, riding shotgun. And I've got to tell you, it's comfy in here.
Yeah, I love the new Rockpile Report casting couch vibe we've got going on in here. You know, this is very sensual. There's 3 warm tobacco pipe candles lit. It's too bad that the only skin I see on Drew is from, the forearm to the wrist.
I mean, listen, if I took this shirt off, I'm like Chewbacca. You still wouldn't see much.
It's disgusting.
I had an ex-girlfriend once who offered to shave my back for me. And then she stopped because she was like rinsing it out in a cup of water. And then when she like went to go dump it out and I heard her gagging in the other room, she goes, "It's like liquid carpet."
Liquid carpet.
Welcome to another edition of the Rockpile Report podcast. Great stuff. We're here in the new Rockpile Report studios. We've got some cushy digs here.
Drew Roosevelt. Fucking Drew Roosevelt.
Guys, it's a hell of a thing. It's a hell of a thing
that shirt doesn't come in your arm length.
No, it doesn't. There's no way. Not standard.
Do you know that every shirt that I own, if I bought it off the rack, has to get rolled up to mid forearm? Yeah. Specifically because they don't make shirts.
Well, the problem is when he goes to Men's Warehouse and they're measuring his arm length, the actual measure stick doesn't go far enough. It only goes to mid forearm for Drew.
What's funny is that's actually where I found out just how weirdly shaped I am.
Where it was?
I was getting fitted. I was getting fitted for a tuxedo, and the guy came in and said, okay, you measure inseam, okay, measure armpit to wrist. And then he stopped, and he did it a second time, and he looked at the tape, and he did that thing that people do when they're like, that can't be right. He held it up to the light like the number would change.
Sure.
And he goes, it's a hell of a thing. He goes, you're the size of your neck and the length of your arms. But then compared to your inseam, he goes, he's like, you have like the upper torso of someone who should be 6'2", but your legs are so short.
Drew Geary, troubling even the most veteran tailors.
Can you imagine having to cut a jacket for me?
No.
It's awful.
No, I could not. Guys,
it's not a lot of fun, the circumstances we're here under, but I'm happy that those of you who chose to join us tonight are doing so. I like how people trickle in as we start doing this. I want to start off the show by thanking Garrett and the fine folks over at Gallo for reuniting us with Montucky Cold Snacks. The Rockpile Report podcast brought to you by Montucky Cold Snack, the unofficial beer of Montana, but the official beer of the Rockpile Report podcast. They're a beer everybody's charitable as Bill's Mafia. 8% of their EBITDA gets donated back to charities in the Northwest every single year. Men's Health, Nate, I know what how health conscious you are. Did you know that Men's Health Journal ranked Montucky Cold Snack the #1 light beer in the entire country?
I didn't until right now.
No additives, no fillers, no BS. I think it's all stuff we can get behind. This is literally like Hair Club for Men. Not only am I sponsored by them, but I'm also a client.
For a Hair Club for Men, or
Hair Club for my back, Hair Club for my back, and Montucky Cold Snacks for my mouth.
Drew's the first guy that's going to invent the best body hair removal kit.
My mom, one year for Christmas, because she got sick of putting Nair on my back for me every time beach season would roll around.
That can't be a true thing.
I would have my mom Nair my back, and one year for Christmas, she got me what's called a man groomer. It's basically a razor on a stick that you shave your back with.
Okay, I actually have seen those, but I thought for sure it was in a dream, but knowing that it's real and you have one, that actually checks out quite a bit.
And it is funny, like, it's funny how quickly we're already getting the Montucky Cold Snacks out into circulation. You can get them you go pick up yours at the Cheektowaga Country Club for $3 a can. $3 a can for a beer in this economy?
Right.
You can't do better than that.
Thanks a lot, Biden.
Also, Fatty Beer in every consumer's beverage location near you, or just stop by the Rockpile Report Grills Mafia tailgate and try your own.
You know I'm a Fatty Beer guy, so I appreciate that little plug right there. That was nice.
Of course, brother.
That was nice.
You want to get to the setup here? How
Chris?
it was all my idea?
Of course, because I would never think to do this.
It stems from, I went to Rochester over the bye week to go bourbon hunting. Nate, if you look under your side table, you got a pour of the new Louisville 8-year store pick I picked up. Drew, look under your table because you don't have one. Because you railed on me. You're going bourbon hunting over your bye week. I went with a bourbon YouTuber from Buffalo, and we were talking shop. And I essentially told him, I was like, whatever you do for bourbon YouTube, try to be different than the people in your space. And I kind of came home and looked in the mirror and I'm like, what can we do to be different?
Wow, he had a come to Jesus moment.
Yeah, I had a come to Jesus moment. I said, I told Drew, I said, we need to be a YouTube show that's a podcast, not a podcast that's on YouTube.
So what else happened on this trip? Because what I found is there's actually a button right over here. This is one of those sex chairs. It starts to vibrate. And so what else did you guys talk about? It clearly wasn't just bourbon.
Here's what I love about Chris.
YouTube.
Here's what I love about Chris. Chris texts me at 10 o'clock at night and goes, hey, we're totally redoing the studio. I'm like, whatever. Chris is one of the most energy-less human beings. Chris doesn't get excited about anything. He doesn't have a pulse and he has the personality of a hornet. When he comes to me and he's like a little kid on Christmas excited about an idea, how do you not get sucked into that? Also, I'm a big dumb animal. I mean, he's putting me on camera and somehow making it look passable. I'll defer to his judgment on that.
I do. I like the angle you've set him up on, though.
Well, we set up here, and Drew pulled the mic in, and I'm like, why do you insist having the microphone above your face?
Well, if you had teeth like mine, you'd understand.
It's a good point.
Yeah,
it's a good point.
So, guys, this new studio layout is really cool because I love the fact that I can ask the guest, hey, can you hand me that Woodford Double Oak? He can reach over his shoulder, hand it to me, and I can casually just sit here comfortably laid back in a nice chair, pour myself a little bourbon. I've got a little candle for ambiance. Like, this is
Well, it is
nice.
a fireside chat.
Chris, you have outdone yourself.
I think, though, it would make a lot of sense to have, like, one of those mobile electric fireplaces. Or even right here, I don't know how the dynamics would be, but instead of this table, a circular propane fire just kind of on the glass rocks.
Well, we do have another table coming.
I mean, if you kept the flames on low, I think you'd be fine up here.
So the studio, I think, is perfect. And I think the setup and the way we're sitting next to each other, we've got the candles lit. I think it's time. Like, I think this is a good space to talk about Sunday's game. Now, usually we get together, we sit here. I start every show, I rattle off a bunch of statistics, and then I try to highlight things about the game where I go, oh, here's a thing people are overlooking.
Throw that out the window?
We're not doing that tonight. No, we're not here for that. Because, see, that's not what our fan base is here for. They don't come to me for things, right? Nobody comes to me like, if you're looking for X's and O's, you don't come here for it. If you're looking for intelligent discourse, you probably don't come here for that either.
Prohaska, Cover One, those people.
Like, what do you come here for?
The pizza and bourbon.
There you go.
How's that? Have you had?
I'm throwing some air into it right now, but I'm gonna put it on my tongue in a second.
So when I sit here, and I know that our fan base right now is a volatile, angry mob that's desperate for ideas that they can grasp and kind of get behind, when they feel like the bottom is just completely fallen out of something that they love and something that they expect more from, I feel like that's where we come in. See, that's something I can get behind. And so, taking into account the new studio setup and just the historical connotations, considering where I think this fan base is mentally, we'll call it the Great Bills Depression, if you will. Nate here's no Harry Hopkins, and I'm no FDR. I'm actually more like Barry Bostwick's iteration in the classic film FDR, American Badass. If you haven't seen it, I urge you to watch 20 minutes of it on YouTube. Kevin Sorbo playing a Nazi werewolf, machine guns strapped to a wheelchair with
Kevin Sorbo. Are you talking about the guy?
Yes, Hercules. It's a film.
on USA.
It's a film that has to be experienced. Have to once in your life. Give it a ride. We as a fan base and as a people are in need of a good old fashioned fireside chat. Now, Chris, I want to start things off by saying this. The NFL playoff predictor is a hell of a thing because where we feel as a fan base right now, like this entire thing has fallen apart, the New York Times playoff machine does not agree. In fact, if anything, Nate, 88% the Buffalo Bills to make the playoffs, 6% to make the 1 seed, 8% to host a wild card, 73% to participate in the wild card round. Now, if you got a time machine and went back a decade, people would see that number and be thrilled about it, wouldn't they?
Sure. During the drought, yeah. Absolutely.
88% to make the playoffs, people would have been dancing on the ceiling. But years of managing people, and I think that's where a lot of what we're faced with today comes from. Years of managing people has taught me this idea that frustration comes from expectation. That's it. If you're managing people and
It's
you have
still wild to think that you manage people. There are people.
Humans.
There are people that work underneath you.
That call you Mr. Gear.
No, we don't do any of that.
Yeah, no kidding.
We don't do any of that. It's the idea that when you fall in love with what something should be, you are already setting yourself up for failure because if that person doesn't execute what you believe they're capable of, you'll be upset. And that's a difficult thing for some people to wrangle with, both professionally, personally, and when it comes to your favorite sports teams. Let's be honest with ourselves. Nobody here thinks that the Buffalo Bills are going to miss the playoffs. Do you genuinely believe they'll miss it? There's an opportunity.
Ask me at 4:25 on Sunday.
Well, and this is what's funny. You're admitting that there's an opportunity.
Yeah.
And the playoff predictor lays it out. There's a 12% shot that the Bills don't qualify for the playoffs.
So you're saying there's a chance.
But with that said, Chris, is it the most likely thing on your mind? Like it's highly improbable, right?
Yeah, we'll be in the playoffs.
Okay, great. Instead, where this frustration, I think, comes from is something akin to a sense of entitlement that we get about those first two, the first two bars that you saw on that graph there. When they talk about the number 1 seed and hosting a wild card game. The Buffalo Bills have been hosting wild card games for so long that I think we as a fan base have just grown accustomed to this is the way it's always going to be. And there's a lot of things that have caught up with us. There's a lot of things that have not gone well. And I don't know, like think back to it. Like we're not the only ones who felt entitled. Remember Sean McDermott calling out the team at I think it was like the second episode of Hard Knocks, where he was like, I don't see the type of urgency and preparation that I know consistent winning football takes. He said that in week 2, practice 2, practice 3 of training camp.
Yeah, like second week of training camp. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're here and you're watching this football team operate and you go, oh shit, is this what he was talking? This is exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And we as fans are guilty of a little bit of it too. You just assume I have Josh Allen. Well, then my Super Bowl window's always open. Why shouldn't I, in a weak AFC, be able to win that 1 seed? Because your team's not playing functional football.
Good.
Your team's not cohesive. There's no leadership here. There's a million reasons why it's not working. And so that's where a lot of the screaming and the thrashing and the upset things come from. You know, that's FDR started the Fireside Chats. Do you know why he did it?
Government transparency.
It wasn't just transparency because he didn't come out and say, hey guys, I'm going to talk to you like a politician. He sat down with people and said,
talk to you like a dad.
I'm going to talk to you like dad. We're going to sit around the fire and I'm going to tell you why we're doing things in terms I think you can understand. That's where I feel like we are today. And that's why I'm glad we're here doing this, because that's very much what I intend on doing tonight. Because, you know, I just mentioned time machines and going back to the years of the drought. I want to get in a time machine and I want to go back to November 9th, 2023. Almost 2 years ago.
Good year.
Today, give or take a few. Anybody in the chat know what went on November 9th, 2023?
Gosh, 2020. Is that the Denver Broncos game?
Nope.
No. Giants game?
Nope. No, and it's funny you don't remember
Is that where
this.
you told me to get out of the truck at the bridge at Arnold Tools?
I did try to kick Chris out of a vehicle once after a game, but no,
Okay.
it was not that evening. Now, the SAG strike ended. That was a good day, I think, for some people. Texas got hit with a 5.3 magnitude earthquake. And it was also the day Chris and I sat down here in this podcast studio and I asked the question, is Sean McDermott John Fox 2.0? And are we in danger of wasting our quarterback's career? And what I love is that, that's you being here in studio, that idea didn't come to me there in that moment. It actually came to me a few days prior when I called into your radio show. I'll never forget we tried to find the audio, but it's been so archived that you can't get it anymore. The Buffalo Bills have just came out flat once again against the Cincinnati Bengals and get flatlined on Sunday Night Football. They came out with no pulse. They never threatened to win the game, and Joe Burrow was almost laughing about it after the game, how easy this victory was. Ha, 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 ha. Chortling. And I don't know if that's a good chortle. What's a good chortle? Look, is that a chortle?
Ross Tucker?
Old-timey radio. He's a carpetbagger. I don't know about chortling. I like that face you made. You're like, wait, carpetbagger? I'm looking at the comments. If I see Josh's apathetic-looking face on Sunday, I'll say we missed the playoffs. All right, that's fair. Like, I'm just going down the list. Like, people, I'm worried Josh getting fed up with not having help. He's going to want out. I think that the way that the salary cap works and the amount of money that they will continue to shovel into his face, I don't think we have to worry about Josh tapping out on us. At least not yet.
I also get the sense Josh is very aware of how he wants people to view him. I don't think he would ever. It would have to get to a pretty dark place for him to say this just isn't tenable anymore. Like you guys gotta do something. You gotta get rid of me. I'm out.
Things would have to go really sideways for that. But so what happened is this. I'm driving home from my friend Doug's house. It's well after midnight. When that game ended, my friend literally had just taken an edible and he looked at me and he was like, the fourth quarter ends, and he looks at me and goes, well, we can't end the night like that. And we watched, I think it was either a Nate Bargatze or somebody else. We watched a comedy special on Netflix. And I get in the truck around midnight, maybe 12:30 there, because it's a Sunday Night Football game. So what time do you go on after Sunday Night Football?
Midnight.
So around
12:30,
midnight.
yeah.
So I jump into the truck and I turn on the radio just to see how it's going. And I hear Nate Geary in the trenches taking the proverbial grenades. Just the dumbest callers. And you have there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can say.
No.
First of all, how happy were you that you were not on the radio this weekend after this game?
I was happy.
What was
mostly,
it worth to you not having to be taking those phone calls?
It was really not about the phone calls. It was about my general state of mind because of how frustrated I was watching the game. And I was on ESPN Rochester yesterday, ESPN Radio in Rochester with the Gene Battaglia and Danger Battaglia. And I said the thing that I have not heard people really dial into with a lot of anger. I think there's probably a lot of things from that game you can look at as, well, I'm angry at this, so this is what I'm going to focus on. And I think there just is a lot of examples. To me, the thing that made me more angry than anything wasn't the Keon Coleman running, half speed routes, throwing up 30-70 balls, because I'm not calling them 50-50 balls anymore, the 30-70 balls. It was the absolute lack of urgency that team showed offensively to end the third quarter and to start the fourth quarter down 16. They had 40 seconds on the play clock, 38 seconds left, I think is what I saw. They let the quarter run out, down effectively 3 scores. Now, I know it's touchdown, 2-point conversion, touchdown, 2-point conversion, tie game. Effectively, it's a 3-score game. Mm-hmm. And they were addressing, they were acting as though they were up 16-0. They started the fourth quarter with a run play. They let the clock go all the way down to 3 before they snapped the ball again. Now it's 3rd and something. all the way down again. And by the time that drive was over, I think that's when they went down the field and scored. They wasted 2.5 minutes in 3 plays.
All right.
Down 16 with no fucking urgency whatsoever. So to me, and then what happened is, so they take the full 30 seconds, the full 40 seconds play, full 40 seconds play, full 40 seconds play, and then they get a first down, and you know what they do? They get into their urgency mode. Okay, now we're going to play ball. We're going to play ball now. I'll say this. I hated Ken Dorsey. I thought he was a terrible offensive coordinator. You know what Ken Dorsey, above everything else, what he wanted to do? He wanted to score a fucking 100 points on you.
Yep.
He wanted, even though they rarely, they rarely looked good, it always looked hard to do what they did. He wanted to put up 100 points. He didn't fucking care how he did it. If they want to run the ball and they're going to run the ball, they'll run the ball. If they're going to throw the football down the field, they're going to throw the football down the field. Regardless, when they went into the game on Sunday, 1 o'clock, Sunday, 8 o'clock, Monday, 8 o'clock, Thursday, 8 o'clock, their prime objective on offense was to score 100 points.
And it's a hell of a thing to watch where we are now. And so I remember in the aftermath of that Cincy game, calling into the radio station and basically saving you. And I remember you starting my call with, like, I see this. I told him, I was like, just put that it's Drew from Drew from Cheektowaga or what?
Drew from Cheektowaga.
And he goes, this may be the best or worst idea I make all night, but here we go. I'm going to bring in Drew from Cheektowaga. What do you got? And I did what every good radio caller should do. Hey guys.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey guys, you guys can hear me?
Hey Nate, can you hear me?
Hey guys, thanks for taking the call. How you doing?
First time, long time.
How you guys doing?
Now, how
We're great.
Are you okay tonight? No. I did what every good radio caller should do. I called, I made my point, and I hung up. I didn't even say goodbye. I just went, hey, what do you think about the idea that Sean McDermott might be John Fox 2.0? And I hung up the phone on you. And I go, here's what I've done. I've lobbed Nate a softball that I know he can now chew on for 10 minutes and not have to take another phone call. Nate, because I know you. I know you're talented. You can take that idea and run with it. And now that gets you to break, and that gets you a breather, and you go, okay, I can take a couple more of these lunatic phone calls. And what I love about that is when I opened up that conversation 2 years ago, I got called an idiot. I got called a loser. I got called a non-ball knower.
So, like, when did they start saying things that weren't true?
And now we live in a world where the Greg Thompsons of the Bills podcast universe, sometimes rightfully, sometimes not, who used to tell me that you need to stop just getting irrational and drunk and yelling at me in my DMs, are now here saying these things on social media. And I go, yes.
Greg has...
You crossed the Rubicon.
He teased this. This would have been after, what game would he have teased this at? What they lost to? Maybe was it the Patriots that he freaked out? But he had a similar situation where I was like, Greg, this is very uncharacteristic of you. Greg is the kind of guy that talks you off of a ledge.
Oh, for sure, he tries anyway.
And when the guy that talks you off of a ledge is hanging by a thread.
Yep. Oh, but see, I'm like Bane. This is the thing where I'm like, you're all where I live. I've been here for God knows how long. For you, this is outrage. For me, this is just, oh, good. I get to slide into it like a warm tub that I'm familiar with.
Right. You're crashing out online. I've been crashing out to my wife every Sunday for 6 years.
Was that like Taft sliding into a tub?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't he get stuck in a tub?
Yeah, I believe he did. Yes.
Robert Taft.
Yes.
So here's what I love. The night after so Greg was snarky on his podcast in the post game after the New England loss. You know what I did? I went home and started drinking whiskey and muttering and while I was unpacking the truck about what a terrible loss that was, and literally ended up wearing a like professional butcher's apron with no shirt on underneath it and shorts, just walking around the house with a glass of bourbon. And my wife comes down at 2 a.m. and looks at me and goes, "What the hell?" I go, "Honey, just go upstairs."
Yeah.
There's no good you can do here.
No.
If you need a complete visual of that look, come out First Line Brewing on Saturday. Drew in a meat apron and no shirt on.
And his suction cup feet.
The tallest, strongest pillars of the content creation community are finally shaken by something. And I personally think it's priceless considering how long I've been banging this drum and just getting called a moron for it. Like, I'm over here like John McCain leaning out the window. You know, just going, hey, welcome to the party, pal. This is it. You're all new to the game. How do you feel? Are you still hurt by this? Like, I want to go around the room. Guys in the comments, are you still upset today? Everybody
About
who's
13
watching
seconds?
and who's commenting, I want to know today about Sunday's game.
Okay.
Are you upset? And if so, I'm very curious. For those of you who still are active in the comments, where do you place your blame? Who do you blame? What do you blame? I mean, I'm just interested. I want to get a pulse for the room.
Nate, who do you blame?
Brandon Bean.
Okay. Chris?
I mean, I think it's I had this thought this week about McDermott. I think Sean McDermott is the Ryan Grigson of coaches.
Wow.
I have an idea that Sean McDermott wants to be the smartest guy in the room. That's why we have like Babich and Brady as coordinators. They don't have the experience to step to McDermott or
like
to,
Leslie Frazier
to-
did,
yes,
or
to
like
where
Brian Dable
to
did.
where he would be McDermott's uncomfortable about his job position. So to me, you know, I kind of lay the blame on McDermott. We're going on what 8-9 years.
9.
You might need I think you might need a change now. Allen's in the prime of his career. I think McDermott wants to be the smartest guy in the room, and that's not good.
See, I love all the takes that are coming in the chat. Although, what was it? Aaron Quinn is John Clark. Aaron Quinn is probably still trying to find a way to pump the brakes. Listen,
I love Aaron.
I love content creator on content creator crime. Nothing makes me happier because everyone who we like when I say these things, they know that I would just say it to them.
Yeah.
I could have
It
used.
doesn't come from a place like it's not like you're speaking ill about him because
No.
if Greg walked in the room, I'd just be like, well, first of all, hilarious. Second of all, first of all, hilarious, sir. And he'd be like, what are you talking about? Just all of it.
Everything.
Everything. And also,
So that means you guys are going to have him on the pod soon, and he's going to.
he asked if we were recording, what night we were recording. And when I told him you were coming in, he's like, oh, that'll be fun. Good luck. I think he was going to throw his hat into the ring to come in and talk to us about this.
I love that.
That's why I think it's fascinating. The people who have been telling me to calm down are now the ones going, hey, can I talk to you about this for a second? I go, oh,
Well, it's
I'm
funny
validated.
because after the Falcons game, I texted Greg and I go, when are you guys recording this week? He goes, funny you say that. Aaron's out. You want to come in? I'm like, yes, I do.
So,
And you know what our whole podcast was? It was basically like worst case scenario podcast. So it was like come up with the worst possible things that could happen, right? And it was like, what if, we're on the backside of Josh Allen's career now?
and this is where
What if Sean McDermott is not a good coach and they never fire him?
And this is where
Marvin Lewis.
This is where you start to talk about where are we as a franchise. And this is why everyone's so upset. The idea of the fireside chats were always to start to calm people down and give them transparency and just help them like understand what they're seeing. It doesn't make it any easier to swallow. It was the Great Depression. And this is the Great Bills Depression.
Is it?
It feels that way.
Feels like the Great Depression was 17 years of no playoffs.
This, you know what? It's the expectation that kills
I
you.
think that's partially a little bit of like, you kind of have to remember how fucking terrible the drought was.
But it's so far removed from it that it's now you're reopening old wounds, but we've forgotten what it felt like.
well, listen, I get
that's okay.
called, I get called negative
That's
all the
okay.
time. I got people that were calling in angry at me after the New Orleans game.
You got called something else 2 weeks ago.
I got called a lib cuck 2 weeks ago. But that guy, he was going on a weird rant. God bless him. From what I think it was like Mike from North Tonawanda or something.
Who was producing? How did they not hit the dump button?
Because he was in the midst of a weird story, and he goes, well, I'd give my firstborn son to Josh Allen. You know what I'm talking about, lib cuck. And I was like, where did this go? Regardless, what I think I get accused of being negative, and that I am negative all the time, that I can't take any joy in watching football. And I disagree with that. I find my joy in football watching things and figuring out what should be done that's not being done. That's what I like doing. I'm a fixer. I want to talk about what you can do to fix things.
Sure.
I don't really love talking about the things that go right. It's fucking boring.
Well, yeah, because if we sat here and we were like, oh, Josh Allen's awesome.
There are podcasts you can go and listen to that. There are shows that you can go listen to.
I can't.
Where all of the content is positive. Like, you can go there, go find it. I am about this whole thing is every year they don't do it. They don't win a Super Bowl. Your margin for error, my patience with you becomes less and less. And the way the last two seasons have gone, which is last year was supposed to be a rebuilding year, and I think the outcome of last year lied to Brandon Beane.
Oh, sure. Well, and so this is the thing. When you think about where we are now, it's hard to remove the label of unserious that's starting to be applied to this franchise. And I think they're earning it every time they speak, every time they approach a podium. I think every time they do anything, this label of unserious starts to stick a little bit more. I mean, look, just an example from the past week. We have a GM who opened up cap space, tied us to an aging player. An aging player who, if you look at Pro Football Focus and if you watch with your eyes what's happening, Teron Johnson is being outplayed by Cam Lewis. When Teron Johnson is in versus when Cam Lewis is in.
He needs to learn how to fucking tackle.
He does need to learn how to tackle, but also Teron Johnson's not having a banner year in that regard either.
No.
But that's to be expected with a player with as much tread worn off the tire as Teron Johnson.
Right.
And so when you have this, you go, wait a minute. When you opened up that cap space and tied us and almost basically fully guaranteed his next year's salary at $9 million, it felt cool because we thought we were getting something in return. Now that you did it, it's stepbrothers. You wore a tuxedo to an interview and then fired.
Now it's kind of fucked up.
Now it's kind of fucked up that you did this. I don't understand why you didn't give us an added avenue to possibly move on. Let's say there's a draft pick who falls to you and is better at what Teron Johnson can do. You can't draft him and start him. Why? Because you're paying $9 million to the guy. Yeah. You did that. You chose that while also prioritizing draft capital in 2026 over success in 2025. It's a hell of a thing. But it doesn't stop there because you have a head coach who decided that Dane Jackson needed to be on this practice squad as your break glass in case of emergency. And then emergency came, and Dane Jackson did exactly what Dane Jackson should do in the NFL, which is show his ass.
Yeah.
You have an offensive coordinator who thought that resurrecting the Patrick DeMarco Fail Mary from 2019, he brought it back. I never thought I would see it again. He tried to run it once. They ran a timeout. They called a timeout. Okay, great.
They knew they were throwing. That's why they called a timeout.
And then you ran it again.
Yeah.
It defies logic.
Yeah.
You thought that was a defensible offensive strategy. And then you have a special teams coordinator who genuinely believed that in a, hey, we've got to have this against a division opponent, gut check moment. My best shot at getting an onside kick, I'm going to put in Ray Davis, just like the Mean Machine did in The Longest Yard with Brucey. I'm going to make Ray Davis go kick this onside kick.
That was a bad one.
I tell you that I was so busy playing with my goddaughter that I did not realize that had taken place. And if I had, I might have started a kitchen fire and left the building.
I have been banging this drum for about a month now, that their return game is the worst in football.
They complain about the starting field position, but what are you doing?
They have the second worst. They are 31st in average starting field position.
Where is Codrington?
Well, he can't play any other position, so it's hard to dress him on game days.
But he was a great returner last year.
Yeah, well, can he play defensive end?
What did we trade for him?
Like
a seventh?
Yeah, like
Caden Prather?
Yeah, like
who's not here?
When you throw in the hilarious acquisition of Mecole Hardman,
Yeah.
which I hate giving Ryan Lasel over there at Rock Sports Network any credit for literally anything. I hate so much about the way he chooses to be. But he pointed out that Mecole Hardman.
I love Ryan Lasel.
He goes, Mecole Hardman, if he has a game and he shows up and he goes, does that almost create more of a problem for Brandon Beane?
Yes.
Does that create more
Yes.
of an issue for
So
Brandon Beane?
here's my thing, because I know we haven't, and I'm sure it's probably here in the rundown somewhere where we're going to talk about this almost trade or the Waddle thing and the Garrett Wilson thing. Can I there is a place in the NFL to do what Brandon Beane did, which was leak to the media. Hey, here was the situation. It was the classic, hey, can you just tell everybody I tried really hard? And instead, where it came off, for at least for me, and it doesn't have to be for everybody, but A, I knew right away when everybody had that information where it came from.
Sure.
B, I'm now asking the question, why in the fuck would you be spending the day, the most important day for the rest of the year, the trade deadline day, for you to make a move to get your team better,
In your division?
wasting your time
Yeah.
trying to trade for players in your division, which, can I be honest? You know, the conversation, well, it would have taken a 2026, not a 2027, and they didn't want to. Man, right there, I'm pissed off about that. Secondarily, Miami was never going to trade you Jalen Waddle.
No.
You could have given him 2 first-round picks. They would have said, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. The Jets did the same thing. And while you could have gotten Rashid Shaheed for a 4th and a 5th, who is like Mecole Hardman, except good and young, and all it took was a 4th and a 5th, you could have beat it by giving up a 3rd and felt fine. You left with nothing. And now you're getting Mecole Hardman, the ghost of Mecole Hardman. This isn't your dad's Mecole Hardman.
This isn't your dad's Mecole Hardman.
Like, I am just, the last week has done so much damage. I like Brandon Beane a lot.
His reputation
like
is taking
him
a beating.
A lot.
Does Jeremy White?
I said it at the time when that happened. Do you know what that did? Put a giant target on your back.
If this doesn't work, you're going to look like
If
an
you're
ass.
wrong, you're going to look like an asshole. And he's wrong, and he looks like a giant asshole.
He was being called out today by Mina Kimes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have it on your Twitter now as it stands. Mina Kimes talked about it today and then started a Justice for Jeremy and Joe. She started it on ESPN about the fact that she's like, well, this is weird that this GM attacked a random bunch of radio guys over his failures. And then his failures blew up in his face. And this is like, we need to bring light to this. It's made national headlines now. And I want to quote the late, great FDR. Never underestimate men who overestimate themselves. And that right there hits the nail on the head of why we're here having this conversation.
I thought you were going to say, I'm too drunk to taste this.
I mean, if
I'm too drunk to taste this chicken.
that's also one of the greater quotes of all time.
The Colonel.
But that doctrine applies to the Bills' current power structure. And in that way, like the reason I asked all of you in the chat, who do you blame? And I'm looking through some of the names. I see Bean, I see McDermott, I see people do it. Hey, do you know what? Only one person mentioned Pagula. And I've been banging this drum for a long time. There's a friend of mine who admittedly he's a disgruntled Sabres fan.
Me?
No. His name's Pat. And he called Terry Pagula Keystone Jed Clampett. And it made me laugh, but he said this about 6 years ago. So the Bills were good, and I was like, you're just sour, your hockey team's bad, whatever. Now that I've heard the man speak a few times, I'm not going to lie to you. I see why they don't let him speak publicly. He's like Jerry Jones, except not funny or interesting. He just rambles. And so he's more like Garrison Keillor. Oh, there it is. You don't even know who that is. God, I'm old.
Yeah, no, I know.
Damn! For those of you out there, call in if you know who Garrison Keillor is. That's Terry Pagula whenever anybody tries to interview him or put a microphone in his face. I've made no bones about my thoughts about this team's owner. I don't think he has a pulse. I think he's just happy to be here. I think he's cashing checks, and as long as that's happening, he doesn't care. And I had a tweet where I said he's Mike Brown 2.0, except it's somehow less defensible. Here's why. Mike Brown, the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals, what they're doing is cheap and ineffective, but sells jerseys, sells merchandise, and pays for his family's bills. And it's by design that this is going on. And that's fine. You're doing this intentionally. What's not cool is when you're Terry Pagula, who's doing this by accident, and it's just happening because you're a stumblebum who has a ton of cash and no idea what to do with this sports team. It's malfeasance and mismanagement. You've let the inmates run the asylum. Brandon Beane doesn't answer to you. If he felt like there was any modicum of pressure on him, he would have made a move. Any move, just to show that he had a pulse, because he felt like he had someone to answer to. The fact that he didn't shows you that these guys are very comfortable. And in sports, complacency will get you killed. That's what kills most anything that seems like it's dynastic is complacency.
I saw a great tweet about Brian Dable. And when he was early on in his career as the head coach in New York, was hyper aggressive, was going for it on fourth downs, just the most aggressive coach in the league. And it was, I'm comfortable in my job, not worried about losing it. Let's get weird. And over the last couple of weeks, bad punts, bad field goals, uber conservative, because what? You're fighting for your life.
Yep.
And so I think like where I've gotten on with Pagula is part of me has been in this space of, I think they need to get a better coach.
Well,
or something, right? Like, or
there needs to be some accountability here. Let's start with that though, because to get a better coach, you have to have someone capable of firing the person who has the job, or at least even criticizing the job.
Who believes that they have anybody there that could hire another good coach?
And this is what I want to talk to you about. You being the person you are, we sit here and we talk about how all week long you could talk poorly. You can go out here and we could scream about tackling effort. No. I want to talk about the root causes of a lot of our frustration and pain so that we can, with the fan base, with people who are going to listen to the podcast, who are going to watch this video on YouTube. I want to have this conversation with them. When you talk about what Terry Pagula's role in all of this is, I think about where the Colts are right now. Jim Irsay passes away and his daughter catches some heat at first because people feel like she's overstepping. And they go, oh, who is she to step in and say, well, you shouldn't be wearing a headset. That's the coach's job. That's the coordinator's job. She's like, yeah, but I need to be able to know if what I'm hearing makes sense. I'm not an idiot.
Yeah.
Do you two get along? Do you seem to agree? Does this thing seem like it has synergy, and are you working well together? Because if you're not, I'll blow this thing up right now. I don't care.
Yep.
I didn't hire you. I didn't hire you, the GM. I didn't hire you, the coach. If all of this doesn't work, and then she pulls Chris Ballard aside and goes, hey, he's like, well, we could trade for Sauce Gardner. And she goes, well, what do you want to do? You want to fix the cornerback position? Do you want to slap a Band-Aid on her? Or do you want to win the thing? And he goes out and shells out what is a ridiculous overpay.
Yep.
But he doesn't care because he's been empowered by the owner to go do that overpay.
Right.
Knowing, hey, you pushed me to do this. This is what you want. There's no one lighting a fire under anyone's ass over at One Bills Drive. And then to make it worse, right? I don't think there's a team in the NFL that needs a president of football operations worse than the Buffalo Bills. Because if you as an owner are not capable of stepping in and confronting Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott because you're so beholden to them, to basically produce, I mean, think about it. Right now, Terry Pagula's at home just wondering, okay, you think about we joked in the offseason about all of his businesses that don't generate money. All of his businesses besides the Buffalo Bills generate enough money to cover 1/2 of Josh Allen's annual salary. Black River Entertainment, he's like, why isn't my country music label making money? That's the type of person we're talking about.
Because they don't have a studio like this one.
That's a fact. Because they don't have Chris.
And so you have this. And what he's done is he's created the office space dynamic for his head coach and his GM, where they're basically going, well, we just achieve enough not to get fired. That's it. If we achieve enough not to get fired, we could do this forever and cash multi-million-dollar paychecks. And it's fine. Peter Gibbons, it worked for him, didn't it? At least for a little while.
I thought you were going to say Peter Gabriel. You've been dropping a lot of names in this show, like more so than usual.
Because I love references.
Like multiple JFK or FDR references.
Oh, it gets worse from here, brother.
You should have been here a couple weeks ago when we did a bunch of OJ references.
I would have loved that.
Yeah. So I just think that there's not a team in football, given the lack of acumen of T-Pegs, because he's the same guy who got fleeced by Rex Ryan. Mm-hmm. He somehow got talked into giving Rex Ryan a job and then was stunned that it didn't go well. And then he almost, and I want this, he almost gave the job to Anthony, Anthony Lynn, who went out to the Chargers and then fell on his face and was out of the league in 2 years. Anthony Lynn almost got that job, but Sean McDermott wowed him so much. I don't want an owner who can be wowed. I want an owner who's not a rube waiting for a sideshow act to come in and blow him out of his chair. I want an owner who's a jerk and who's pointed and who's demanding, because that gets results. And you don't have to be a jerk, but you have to be somewhat demanding. You have to have some ego tied up in this thing. Unfortunately, Terry Pagula's ego is not tied to this. His wallet's tied to this. And as long as it sells, what does he care about? And then you take it a step further. I fear for the future of this football team after watching what we've gone through this season and watching the way that your GM has been allowed to fuck off and the way that your head coach, everybody's confused all the time on defense. Your players are never where they're supposed to be. All these things are going wrong. And where's your owner? Where's your owner putting any pressure on them to fix it?
Well, I mean, the Sabres have been
exactly
the laughing stock of professional sports.
And no one cares.
And I haven't heard him speak about the Sabres
once. He hasn't spoken about them publicly in over a decade. And so this is where you look at it and I go, okay, if they don't care, here's the problem. When we went through the drought, what you referenced earlier with Ralph Wilson, that's fine. He was in a coma for half of it. His family, we knew they were detached. I think
Russ, baby.
I think the difference is here, like we're dealing with the same dynamic, except Pagula's healthy and alive. He's just struggling to figure out why Kelsey Ballerini isn't worth more than $5 million for his record label yet. Like, that's it. He's out getting a sunburn on a boat right now somewhere, rather than dealing with the hard questions that are surrounding his football team. And his children don't seem that interested or motivated to get involved.
His son.
Okay, maybe.
He's around. I can tell you firsthand he's around. He's at every game.
Okay.
Sitting next to Terry.
Okay, so maybe there's a hope that somebody with a little fire in their guts is going to take this thing over one day.
Maybe.
I have a Seagram's bet I'd like to throw out there. Anybody in the chat want to take me up on this? Anyone in the room want to take me up on this? The Pagula family will not own the Buffalo Bills when the new stadium deal hits its 20th year.
So 21 years from now?
In fact, I won't even go 20. I'll go 15.
Terry?
I'll go 15. 15 years from now, the Pagula family will not own the Buffalo Bills.
I'll tell you this. I am very surprised at the structure in Indianapolis after Jim Irsay died.
Yes.
Because of how insanely expensive the taxes are on inheritance.
Yep.
Like, that was the big part of the Ralph scenario, was him giving the team to his...
They would have to pay capital gains tax out the ass.
So I was surprised when Irsay's kids took it over. I did not think that was going to happen.
And by all accounts, she's doing a bang-up job. She's pulling the right levers.
I'll say this about Terry, though. They did make sure they got the stadium here. They got the that keeps his team here for 30 years plus.
I got a text message from someone who will remain nameless, and it literally just said, I wonder if Bon Jovi's willing to reconsider. It's like,
Bon Jovi ain't that guy. He don't got that kind of money.
It's just
you need a very rich owner in the NFL. The Bills spend money. The Bills spend money.
What I love is we're an hour into this
players.
podcast and we've only talked about the owner. Oh, we've got names to name. I'm going to let you run with this one. We've got
Super Mexican in the comments will take you up on that Seagram's bet.
Okay. All right, then. Seagram, you're in for it. Mark it down on the board. There you go.
I mean, I got no room, Nate. I got no room.
Yeah, but I got rid of the
Andrew nailed it. We're in the drought of mediocrity now. I called it I called this.
You got to have some of these MVP Seagrams, Nate.
I'm not drinking the Baker MVP Seagram yet.
That was for the season, his second season.
I don't know.
So here's what I love.
Sketchy.
I'm looking through this here. We're in the drought of mediocrity. When you're where the Bills are, it's called the gilded drought. You go, oh well, it's better. It's like we left the drought,
mediocrity,
got into a nicer room with better furniture, but at the same time, you're still not winning the thing.
I don't think the drought was mediocrity. So they never had they never had the number one pick.
Nope,
that was mediocrity. Yep. This is not mediocrity. This is much worse and more painful than mediocrity
because you had expectations that they could be better.
No, it's because like they're so close.
Microtel hotel to a Fairfield Inn.
Yeah,
like not much of an upgrade.
No. I would say it's like a micro hotel. What are the
a microtel?
Microtel. What's the one that's right off the 90 by the Galleria exit? What is that? The
Millennium.
Home at stay at home, home.
The Millennium.
Home stay. No, it's like it's basically like an apartment.
I see. I know.
Home Suites. Homewood Suites. Something like that. Okay. To me,
not for nothing. When Reed Ferguson was signed to the practice squad, they put him up for a week in the Homewood Suites on Slade in West Seneca, and then they said, "Find your own living space." And then that's when he came and lived with me.
So to speak to our GM real quick, just to move the show along, so you know how I think about the owner. I think the owner is the source of most of our problems. And not a lot of people join me in that, but you will over time. The GM, you've already had your say about how you think here's a best. One of the best things I think about Brandon Beane is that he has to play things responsibly because of the salary cap.
Yeah.
He needs draft capital to protect, we need to backfill with cheap contracts with guys who might have talent. And I feel like that goose meme who's chasing somebody. And why is that? Why do we need to be cheap? Because you've been reckless and irresponsible with your free agency contracts. There's contracts he signed that have provided nothing short of unreasonable value. And he's still here. There's no one telling him to stop. No one telling him to offload Curtis Samuel. One of my favorite things that when you talk about John Elway getting involved with the Broncos and how he got them to the place where John Fox could happen, they were like, Brock Osweiler, what the hell is this? And then they're like, oh, you have a contract? Oh, we got to get rid of this.
Yeah, we're out.
So they literally gave the Browns Brock Osweiler and a second-round pick just to eat his cap.
Yep.
Good owners and GMs used to step in and go, oh, how do I clear the books of bad contracts? You give away draft capital. Not Brandon Beane. Brandon Beane goes, well, no, I need all these draft picks. I can't give some schlub team a bad player like Curtis Samuel at the trade deadline with a 7th-round pick or a 6th-round pick.
Well, you mean trading up, using a 3rd-round pick to trade up to get JSN wouldn't have...
But they're the same picks that he's very comfortable blowing on a player like Cody Ford. Or, hey, I'm going to trade up for TJ Sanders and I need that 5th-round pick. Or you could clear the books of a salary albatross like Curtis Samuel and you won't do it.
Or you could draft Landon Jackson.
And then here's the thing. He's done a terrible job of identifying star power with all of those draft picks. We talked about this. Brett Coleman. Brett Coleman and EJ Snyder, for some reason, like us. I don't know why. It's stupid of them on their part. But they talk to us all the time. And Brett was like, hey, we did this analysis. And the Bills are right in the wheelhouse of all the homegrown talent it traditionally takes to win a Super Bowl. You're right around the 64% mark, where 64% of your team pretty much has to be homegrown. And then you fill it in with free agency and draft picks. And that's where you win a Super Bowl. The problem is none of our guys are stars. The Kansas City Chiefs only had a couple, but they had Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and Chris Jones.
Trent McDuffie.
All pros. Trent McDuffie. They had
L'Jarius
guys
Sneed.
who are winning all pros. Do you know what Brandon Beane's done? I went back to 2019. Do you know how many guys are still in the NFL as starters?
How many total draft picks do you know?
Look at this. Out of his classes, Nate is looking at the chart. Look at his face, people. Look at his face. I just put the numbers. 2019, there is one starter in the NFL, not just for the Buffalo Bills, but in the NFL from the 2019 draft class, and it's Ed Oliver. And he's not even playing for us right now. 2020, one starter still in the NFL, Bass. Because Epinessa's like defensive end 3 and 4.
Cody Ford's still in the league.
Cody Ford is only starting because it's the fucking...
He's currently at the Buffalo Chop House.
He's currently at the Buffalo Chop House in a sweatsuit. Idiot. I swear to God, Aaron Quinn's reaction to watching. Here's Aaron Quinn pulling a Jerry Seinfeld going, I don't know what to wear. I'm a stay-at-home dad. I don't have outfits. I don't do dress shoes. So he put on dress shoes, jeans, and a jacket and comes out to the Chop House, and he was miserable about it. And while we're standing outside and he's like grousing, Cody Ford walks by in a Sean John velour tracksuit and just walks past us. And Aaron's face was fucking priceless. He's like, what? What is happening? And I laughed, but also I was like, you mean to tell me I'm eating in a place where sweatpants are okay? I don't want to eat here anymore. I haven't been back to the Chop House
Classy.
since.
Well, as we know, you're a classy bitch. So
2021, there are 2 NFL starters, both of them in Buffalo, but Basham is out of the league. Boogie Basham, not in the NFL anymore.
no, he's not.
I believe he's a Panthers practice squad.
Oh, he might be.
He's
not
hanging on by a
but
thread.
he's not on a roster.
He stunk.
Okay.
He was bad right away.
2022, we have 5 NFL starters, but that's because they're all here in Buffalo, still on our roster. They haven't washed off.
22. Who would that be? That'd be
Terrell Bernard. That's your. So 2023, 2 NFL starters. 2024, 1 NFL starter. It just gets worse from here. And when you look at it, out of all the classes Brandon Beane has taken, 1 tight end and 1 wide receiver in the top 3 rounds. And then you look at the offense and go, I don't understand why it's bad. Nate, I can't imagine why we don't have star power. So then I want to talk about Josh Allen, the star.
okay.
Let's talk about why he is the way that he is.
Okay.
There's a lot of noise about him being the problem. I've seen some people in the comments going, oh, Josh seems disengaged. First of all, say it with me. Everybody raise a glass. Goose Fraba. A toast.
Is that good?
This, yes. Yes, it was.
I'm still getting used to this arm being in my face. What I love is that everyone acts like Josh Allen isn't still Josh Allen. Josh Allen isn't the guy who won an MVP. Josh Allen isn't the guy who wants to win more than he wants to like walk tomorrow. And yet at the same time, is he still that guy? I don't know. Getting married. Now he wants to start a family. Maybe all these things are starting to weigh on the guy. And he goes, I don't understand why this is so hard. Other quarterbacks have families. Why do they have to risk life and limb in order to be the engine that drives their football team? Maybe I'm not the idiot here. Maybe it's other people. And maybe there's something wrong with this thing. Like, I'm just being human here for a second. If I worked for a company that said, hey, man, we need you to risk life and limb because we make bad decisions, would you look at that and go, you know what? I have a lot of money in the bank. Maybe I don't need to do that. You would take a little off, right? You'd make business decisions, especially if you were like, hey, I maybe want to play football with my kids.
Like
one
Zach
day.
Moss
Like Zach Moss.
making business
decisions.
I'm
I'm going to go ahead and say no about Josh Allen in this aspect. Because I think he is a huge competitor. I think he cares a lot. I think he wants to win a Super Bowl, and I think he wants to win one here. I think that there is just, again, I want to go back to the point I made earlier in the show, which is I think last year lied to them a little bit.
Sure.
I think that they thought they were closer than they were because the AFC at large wasn't that good. Mm-hmm. They beat the Ravens, who are frauds in the playoffs. Frauds. And when you lose to that Chiefs team as close as you played them, that is the worst Chiefs team we've seen in quite some time, and they still made it to a Super Bowl. They got smoked, but I think they had a false sense of identity and who they were and how close they were. And I think they acted like it this offseason, the way that they approached the offseason.
The audacity. That's what I loved about it. The audacity.
To me, it's more so about maybe not fully grasping where they were, the trouble they were in at receiver, the safety situation, which I think luckily is really started. Like, Cole Bishop's looked really, really good the last couple of games. And if that's the player if the Cole Bishop the last 2 games is the player that they have, that's a nice player.
Chris, you got the Hero of the Week sounder? Hit me with it.
Don't take it personally, all right? Franchise star players are a lot like Highlanders. There can only be one.
This team only has one Cole Bishop, and I never thought I would hear myself say that as a positive thing.
Yeah. and obviously we need to see more of Jordan Hancock because I think just Poyer is cooked. And I still think that there's a role for Poyer to be a leader and to be in Hancock's. I need to see more Hancock. But going into the season, and I want to make one note on teams and franchises that start to go back and take players that that were big parts of their organization. Like, I think about teams that are at the end of the dynasty. Ends of dynasties, you tend to reach back the nostalgia of it.
The New England Patriots brought back Patrick Chung once, and I go, "Oh, you're cooked."
And they brought back.
There's
Is that
no
before or
way
after the
that's gonna
Coke?
It goes pre-Coke.
Probably during.
It's probably pre-Coke.
Probably during. To be honest.
So, but there just was things like
Nate, I'm a guy who dated the same girl for 4 years, and we broke up every 10 months. And
that's why you weren't at my first wedding.
Yeah, it's why I wasn't at your first wedding, because I had broken up with her, and then we got back together shortly thereafter. And
but I also didn't have the power. I didn't have the power to bring you because she was a bridesmaid. So you guys were broken up. I didn't have the power to bring the ex-boyfriend of a bridesmaid to my first wedding.
Chris,
that should have been a red flag for you, I think, at that point, Chris.
Chris, do you?
There were a lot of other red flags that I missed.
Do you know that I almost showed up anyway? Just because I was like, Chris will find this funny. You just show up.
He definitely would have found it funny. And if you would have told him in advance that they were going to get divorced soon after, I think he would have probably been down with it.
I was like, at the moment, I was like, you know what? We're broken up. I know they're getting married it's at the casino. If I show up in a tuxedo with a giant box with sparklers on it and make a spectacle out of this, it'll be so ridiculous that no one will throw me out. And at the same time, it'll make her miserable, and Chris will think it's Chris, knowing Chris is like his thing for comedy, he goes, well, this is hilariously awkward and bad. He shouldn't be here.
I would have loved to watch you watch one of my cousins hit on Brittany.
Wouldn't care. Do you know I encouraged a barback to make out with her once? Because I was like, I don't care about you. This was
poor girl.
So she was the driver of most of the chaos in our relationship, which is hilarious. Like I said, when you go back, you're never going forward. You're trying to get somewhere. If you're ever going back to the well where you go, well, shit, this blew up. We parted ways for a reason. I did it for 4 years.
Yeah.
4 years of my life. And then I met my now wife. And I was like, oh, no, things are way better on the other side. Like, this is what it's supposed to be. And the Bills haven't found their version of that yet in a lot of roles and a lot of players.
They don't try.
But that's it. They haven't put the effort in.
How about this? C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
It was available, and everyone said, no.
3 sacks, 15 tackles.
Greg Thompson had a tweet where he was like, absolutely not. Before anyone says it, don't even bring it up. Now he's balling for the Bears. He is playing stellar safety. And you're looking at our safety situation, and it's like, Greg.
Man, wouldn't that be great to have right next to Cole Bishop?
Great.
Yeah. And
I go, see, this is where like I said, the pillars of this content creation community have been shaken right now. Because
the foundations are crumbling.
I don't know about crumbling, but it is funny. And I think all of it eventually filters back to a couple things. First of all, the big tuna, Sean McDermott, where we could go on about this forever. But the thing that everyone's voiced all of their concerns with Sean McDermott. Everyone's had their say. Everyone's had their thing. Hey, he's this, he's that. I want to point out one thing that hasn't gotten enough airtime, and it's that all the detritus that everyone wants to throw around about him. Tyler Dunn, when he wrote his piece that got labeled a hatchet job on Sean McDermott, I don't know, like, what I'll say is that when you have a generational quarterback and a defense that's littered with really great talents, and you don't have a single veteran coach who wants to step in on either side of the ball and coordinate with you, that should be a glaring red flag to any outside observer. I want to walk you through this. There were options. 2023, Vic Fangio gets hired by Miami, and Brian Flores goes to Minnesota. In a year where Sean McDermott said, hey, Leslie Frazier's gone, I'm going to be my own defensive coordinator.
He did do that.
What? You like the cheese, have to stand alone. What, because you can't play nice with other people? Like, what about you has rubbed everybody? So you don't mean to tell me that Vic Fangio couldn't have looked at the 2023 Buffalo Bills and gone, well, shit, I could go there and do a lot of good. I could win a ring.
I'm sorry, did I not talk about this a half hour ago when I said I think Sean McDermott wants to be the smartest guy in the room, and he's not going to bring in a coordinator that will challenge him for the head coach position?
And it gets worse because then 2024, offensive defensive coordinator options were weak. Fangio had the job, then got let go and immediately signed with the Eagles, where he was instrumental in winning it.
And they win a freaking Super Bowl. Yeah.
Also, Kellen Moore that year, an offensive coordinator for Philly. Like, that's a get. That's a get. He wins a ring. And you go, shit, there was a Kellen Moore floating around out there, and you did what with Joe Brady?
In fairness, Kellen Moore was there for a year and then immediately became a head coach.
Sure.
So,
and now how's that going? Not well.
Well, they stink.
But then 2025, more weak options at defensive coordinator. I get it. It's defensible to a degree. The Bills' offensive coordinator was flawed, but he had a good year, so I didn't even look at those. When you're the second highest scoring team in football, just like we talked about with being the wide receivers, you don't look at anything else. But when you look at where you could have gone, could the Bills have said, hey, Lou Anarumo, can you flummox Josh Allen? Can you show us how you did it? Can you come in here and show us how you shut down our MVP quarterback?
Well, I do. A little of that's revisionist on the coordinators, because if you remember when Babbage was here and McDermott, the reason that Babbage became the defensive coordinator wasn't because Sean wanted to give up play calling duties. It was because Brian Dable wanted to take Bobby Babbage and make him the defensive coordinator of the Giants.
That is fair.
And in order to keep him here, they had to elevate him. So this wasn't Sean McDermott. And by the way, Sean McDermott's calling plays now.
I know he is.
So
and that's why I think it's ridiculous that we're here. It's like, Sean, you basically run the show here. Everyone who filters up to you, like, there's a management structure that works. If you are the guy who's the brains behind the operation and you find acolytes who just find ways to marry to your style, whatever. Also, if you want to do what the Chiefs are doing, where they go, hey, here's a guy who's talented enough to be a head coach, and he is
Spags.
You have Andy Reid, who's arguably one of the best offensive coordinators in football, playing head coach. And then you have a defensive coordinator who could be a head coach again, I think, now that he's learned, he's taken his lumps. He's not as green. He's older, though.
Do you see Tom Sett's tweet about this?
No.
It was Spags, head coach. Who was the offensive coordinator?
I think I saw somebody from
Dable offensive coordinator, I think is what I saw.
When was this?
Recently, like
today,
like maybe yesterday.
Oh God, the amount of times Greg Thompson tweets.
Yeah, it's worse than trying to go through mine.
Yeah, I don't understand what you guys do all day. Do you have jobs?
Yeah, right here, got it.
Right there.
Yeah.
John Ferrari is GM, Philadelphia assistant GM. Steve Spagnuolo is head coach. Brian Dable is offensive coordinator. Trophy. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't hate that.
I don't like Spags as a head coach.
Why?
That's because you watch.
Can't do it.
It's because you watch.
But
Richie
what if he has
Incognito.
Brian Dable with him?
Hang on, you watch Richie Incognito disrespect him, and you immediately, like I did, lost respect for Steve Spagnuolo. Richie Incognito respects nobody.
Yeah.
Like,
Not even us. That's why we're blocked.
do you know that one of my favorite Richie Incognito stories? He was at I think it was Wisconsin or Nebraska. It was Bo Pelini.
Nebraska.
It was
Yeah.
Bo Pelini.
Yeah.
And one of the Will Compton told the story on a podcast I listened to, and one of the freshman players got jumped at a frat party. And Bo Pelini thought, like, okay, well, I'm having a bad year. I think I can use this as a galvanizing moment to pull the team together. Hey, we're a team. You don't let a guy go out there to a house party and that happens to him. We're a team. We pull together. We have each other's backs. Bo Pelini went too far. He fired the wrong boy up. So after the meeting, they go out and Richie Incognito grabs this kid and goes, "What frat house?" Pointed out to me, throws the kid in the truck, drives around Greek Row until they find the house. And he goes, "Oh, it was that house." Richie gets out of the truck, kicks in the front door, and just comes through the house like a hot wind, just fighting everybody he can get his hand. There's kids jumping out of windows. Kids
To get away from Richie Incognito.
Kids, and the podcast I was listening to, they compared it to that scene in Saving Private Ryan when the guy walks up the stairs to go murder somebody else, and you just let it happen because you're like, oh, there's nothing I can do.
Nothing I can do here.
They were like, this is chaos. When you're faced with a Richie Incognito roster because you're the St. Louis Rams, you can't succeed.
It's been so long, and here's the thing: if Spags is there, he's also my DC.
Yeah.
So, and you're taking him away from Kansas City.
But what I do know is
Just saying.
I love the idea that Sean McDermott has come back here, and they pointed out, like, all you ever get is rookies. All you can get to do your job coordinating. We could sit here all night and bitch about the help. Talk about how Bobby Babich, like, yeah, you're riding sidecar now. 3 different running backs have had their best games of the season against you.
Yeah.
You're not good. And you could point out all the ways that there's all these flaws in what Bobby Babich does. And you go, well, he shouldn't probably be here. He shouldn't be in that role. It was just a knee-jerk reaction by a head coach who didn't want to lose an acolyte, who he knew would never fight him. And then you look, at who is the Montucky Cold Snacks Ice Cold Performer of the Week, offensive coordinator Joe Brady.
You folks fell on your face. You get an F- in my book.
There's already so much discourse about this. I don't want to stand on it, but like, there's so much ugly here. And yet
There's a lot of
Sean
ugly.
McDermott, you're like, well, I'd like this guy. For what? And then he hesitated how many seconds? None seconds to defend and then go, hey, no, he's my coordinator for the rest of the year.
You also have to remember, and I said this yesterday too, Sean McDermott's not going to make a change at offensive coordinator. This is not the same as Ken Dorsey. There is nobody waiting in the wings.
Well, that's it. But also, why do they have to be in the wings? Why are you always the guy who I have to pull someone up from the ranks who I know won't fight with me?
But it's not even that. It's more so in the middle of a season where you are still 6-3 and your eye is on we're going to try to win a Super Bowl. You're not bringing in an offensive coordinator that hasn't been here all year and asking him to reinstall an offense. Like, that's the thing for me is Brady came in, he was here already, understood the Dorsey offense, didn't necessarily change it, but tweaked it, and then got last year to really have a full off season where he's installing his version of the offense. So to me, you can't do that right now because you don't have somebody else that has play calling experience within the building. So that can't happen. So I also want to note this, is that Joe Brady is the betting favorite to land the LSU job. He is like top 3 betting favorite to land Florida. He's top 5 to land the New York job. Like, he's going to be...
And what happens when he's Billy Napier 2.0?
Regardless of who he is at college, Sean McDermott, this is more of the fraternity piece to this. Yes. Is what you're not going to do in a year where Joe Brady is going to take the next step to be head coach, whether it's at the college level or the NFL level. Sean McDermott is not going to embarrass, undermine, even if it means he's going down with the ship. It's the fraternity of coaches. Sean, you're talking about him not bringing in veterans around him. You know what's going to make no veteran coach ever want to coach with Sean McDermott? Is if he fires a guy who's going to have his first opportunity to be a head coach at either college or the NFL level mid-season and basically fuck him. He's not going to fuck Joe Brady. Right, wrong, and different. That is just the reality.
Ralph Wilson Sr. in the comments, McDermott wants his own coaching tree. So far, it's a weeping willow. So far, it's not. It hasn't come.
Yeah, he doesn't have a good coaching tree.
Chris, I love how fascinated I've been. Like, here's the problem with these chairs not being naturally faced towards the. I completely missed the check because I'm looking at his stupid face.
Makes sense.
Chris, this is where I need you as the producer to call out fun things in the chat.
Well, Super Mexican said you can't go back to Brittany. Bills, this is the lesson of the podcast.
You can't go back to Brittany.
And he also said we're getting into the deep Montucky wisdom region of the podcast.
Yeah.
And Ralph Wilson called Joe Brady to Penn State.
Yes, right. There you go. There's
a lot of good college jobs Brady could take if he wanted them.
I also
because it's not that hard.
He's not amazing.
No, he's not good.
He's also not like it's not Rick Dennison. It's not even.
Did you just invoke the name Rick Dennison?
Don't open that wound.
Oh, sorry. Is there history there?
You know what? I did text Drew yesterday about like how should we tackle with this new studio? We got Montucky on board. How can we go forth and get sponsorships? And I texted Drew last night. I go, we should have a promo code for U-Hauls, and the promo code's Dennison. So like Joe Brady.
I'm always like, listen, I'll back the U-Haul up to your house and I'll help you move. I get your point about Brady. I get what you're trying to say here. I don't doubt that some people view him as talented. Unfortunately, there's some concepts that have been missing entirely from this thing. Bootleg passing, the tight end, running back leak. Like, it's not hard. You have Knox and Ty Johnson. They're very good at it. Do you want some more booze?
Yeah, but I want that E.H. Taylor. No. There's an open one.
Nope, one next to it. Yeah. There you go.
See, this is the problem. Chris is over there. He can't stop us. We do what we want now. We have the whiskey wall. So while you pour that, I'm going to talk about this. You have athletes like Ty Johnson and Dawson Knox, and you don't use them on the leaks to beat the blitz.
Knox stinks.
He stinks, but he's being paid $14 million, so you better find some utility in him. Also, where have the tight ends and wide receivers been in the seam? Has Keon Coleman seen a seam pass all year long?
Keon Coleman?
Have you ever tried to put him in the slot?
No, I don't want to.
Of course not. Nobody wants to do anything that makes sense.
He's not good.
Instead,
that doesn't make sense. Keon Coleman just shouldn't be on the field.
Instead, he has a marriage to concepts that don't work, like the jet sweeps.
All right. That's different.
Well, here's the thing. Who gets the first one, Hawes or Hardman? Who sees the first jet sweep, Jackson Hawes or Mecole Hardman? That's a real question. I want you to answer it in the chat. Bills, they're last in passing on first down. It's terrible. Terrible. Shakir, the most dynamic open field weapon, guess what? He's relegated to screen duty. Chris, put the chart on the TV for the people. I want them to see this. His average depth of target is 6.7, which is the lowest of all non-running backs on the team. And Nate, that's what Nate, right there in front of you, is what his completion chart looks like. You can't look at it.
Look away.
It hurts your eyes.
It does. It really, truly does.
It's haunting when you realize what they've done. I feel like this is the Godfather. And I go, look what you did to my boy.
It's not good.
Look what you massacred my boy.
I tweeted that because Anthony Prohaska tweeted out a highlight of Josh Allen against the Rams last year, where he just went absolutely bananas, had 6 touchdowns.
Yep.
And then I was like, look at. You massacred my boy.
You massacred my boy.
Is this where we do RFK impressions?
That was my Godfather impression, but.
So what I don't love about this is he's like what you have, right, is a coach who is misusing the talent that he has. Like these are the stats. Khalil Shakir has 3 receptions for the season beyond 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. No touchdown passes that didn't start inside the 5-yard line. Like I just hate all of the ideas that he has, and they're not working. Meanwhile, Moore, 62nd in average depth of target in the NFL. They've relegated him to a jet sweep screen pass machine. Curtis Samuel is 10th with 6 targets through 10 games. And when you look at intermediate passing, Curtis Samuel, 1 of 1 for 21 yards. Moore, 2 of 4, tied for 92nd in the NFL. Like, what are we talking about? Why did you bother bringing these guys here? You could have done what they're doing. And then they go to a press conference, and I have to hear Joe Brady say this.
At the end of the day, when we play like we played, I got to be better, right? Like I'm not going to point the fingers at anybody else. If when we have that type of performance, it falls solely on me. And if guys aren't getting involved in ways that they probably should, again, that's strictly on me.
There you go, Joe Brady, BuffaloBills.com.
You set the stage for this conversation. Remember when you were like, oh, he's never going to embarrass this guy. Well, here's the problem. You will continue to embarrass yourself and all of your players when you know there's no consequences. Do you know how easy it is to say, hey, guys, I'm the problem, when there's no consequence that you actually give a shit about? That's the problem with the Joe Brady experience right now. Joe Brady is not afraid of being fired, which is why he's very confident coming to the microphone and going, guys, you know what? I botched this entire game. It's all terrible, and guess what? It's my fault, and I'll fix it later. He's not worried about his job. It's easy to say, I'm the problem, when you know no one's coming to lop your head off for it. And that's a problem. That is a problem because this whole thing is supposed to be a meritocracy. It's supposed to be the best and brightest lead, the best players play, the best play callers call plays. And if you're telling me that you're substandard and that you genuinely believe you did a bad job, no one's going to do anything about it.
I have to get to Sophie in the comments. Coleman is changing Josh's mind on having kids.
The Rockpile Report, people. This is what I love us. We are the pettiest, hardest drinking Bills podcast, and we have cultivated
That
the
is
best.
a fact. Yeah, that's a fact.
And we have cultivated the best fan base.
And we're cultivating a lot of mass in here. Cultivating mass.
We are cultivating mass in here. What I will say, I love how everyone made fun of you for taking off your vest. They were like,
They
"What?"
were?
Yeah, they were like, oh, his takes got hot. He had to take the vest
It's
off.
just warm. I had to take it off.
So what I'll say
Is it warm
this.
or is it the bourbon?
Yes.
I find
Yes.
this whole thing rings hollow to me, and it becomes a reflection of the head coach, where I go, oh, he immediately gave you a vote of confidence, no questions asked, and then you came out there and said that. That sucks. This is an organization that needs a serious injection of seriousness. But where does it come from? Everyone has a different opinion about where seriousness, where give a shit comes from in a sports sense. You know, sometimes it's the players, right? Sometimes it's a grassroots thing where the locker room rises up, they have a players only meeting and they go, hey, we don't want to waste our careers. And then sometimes it's a coach going, hey, and he grabs somebody by the face mask and he gives them the Tony D'Amato speech from the Any Given Sunday, and they go out there and they win a playoff game. And you go,
The 6 inches in front of your face.
that's it. And everyone likes to believe that works, but you've played football. You know what the funny thing is? Rah-rah speeches. How many rah-rah speeches have fallen flat and you've just gotten railroaded? Because you go,
Well, I played on a lot of bad teams, so.
This is my point.
Buff
you
State.
can go in the locker room and go, hey, guys, today's the day. We're not taking any shit. We're going to go get these guys. We're going to show them that we mean business. And then 15 minutes into the football game, you go, this is bad. Guys, This is not going the way that we intended. Chris, why is that back on the screen?
It's delayed.
It's delayed.
Would you
Hilarious
let the guy fucking do his job? Why don't you do your job hot and just deliver hot air and let him produce, okay?
Is that why your vest's
Yeah.
off?
Jesus Christ.
What I
Delayed. Come on.
What I love
We're on a 20-second delay. Ever heard of it?
What I love is this idea that this isn't a special Bills team. It's not. This Bills team might be the worst iteration of the Buffalo Bills we've seen in the
I
last 4
thought
years.
last year was worse, but
This is bad.
they didn't have Joey Bosa last year.
No, but now Joey Bosa's in a club, and this is how it starts.
Yeah.
this
I'll tell you
is
that
the-
he's been damn good for them, and I give Joey Bosa a lot of credit for playing through that yesterday or on Sunday because I feel like he probably didn't have to.
Joey-
I mean, they let everybody else sit on the sidelines for the game.
Joey Bosa is. Hang on. Joey Bosa is a lot like the J.J. Watts of the world.
JJ Watt.
J.J. Watt. Also, just the idea that, like, look, I exist to do a thing. He's not. Have you ever heard Joey Bosa speak? There's no Mensa.
I'm
You know, it's like
blinded by the
when
he
size of his
speaks-
nose.
He speaks volumes.
There's no Mensa being handed out to Joey Bosa anytime soon. But it's okay because he doesn't need that. What he is he's a guy who's fueled by passion for what he does for a living and the fact that he's damn good at it when he's healthy. But we're already starting to watch what happens when you give him 70 snaps.
which was never supposed to be the situation.
Nope. We've gotten so far away from what this Bills team was supposed to be this year and what we were all excited about. The injuries are excessive and severe. The coaching is inadequate to balance the equation. And they're all content to Sean McDermott's point to play out the string. Hey, I have no choice. I'm never going to change my offensive coordinator. He's Mac from Always Sunny. I'm dug in
And I'll never change.
and I'll never change. Chris is looking for it on the board.
I
right?
won't change my mind on anything, regardless of the facts that are set out before me. I'm dug in, and I'll never change.
That is Sean
Rock,
McDermott.
flag, and eagle, right, Charlie?
Yeah.
That is Sean McDermott when it comes to this staff and its makeup. So now you're stuck here. This is the Alamo. Nothing's guaranteed, and every week we watch players have seasons and maybe even sometimes careers end. They get injured in ways that ruin them. And you also have to watch friends and family who have hoped for their entire lives that this franchise would somehow give them something, break the drought, win a Super Bowl, hoist a Lombardi one time so that my grandfather's legacy wasn't wasted. That he didn't waste his entire life standing out in a dirty parking lot that was nothing but dirt and rocks, rooting for a team over there in the rock pile back in the 60s. Win a title. Win one for the city of Buffalo.
For the Gipper. Win one for the Gipper.
And like you're just hoping that they'll give you something special to cheer about and validate this reckless hope before it all just fades away and disappears. And that's the problem.
Sabres, Notre Dame, and Bills fan, Drew. So
Yeah, so you've seen it all.
Yeah.
I want to quote the great FDR.
here we go.
There's
I'm
nothing,
too drunk to taste this chicken.
there is nothing to fear but fear itself. And that was Franklin Delano Roosevelt at the inaugural Fireside Chat in 1933.
All up in his wheelchair and whatnot.
At the risk of being a hipster about all this and saying I was first, Chris,
Well, if
you
you
have
ain't
the
first,
audio.
you're last.
I posited this well before the Bills lost in back-to-back years to the Chiefs and watched everything that felt special about this team melt like a plastic fork in the microwave. Chris, give me the audio. This is the problem. This team has pushed people who love this thing to the brink. I'm here. I'm still taking the punches in the fucking skull every day, and I still sit here behind a microphone to talk about it because this is where I come to vent. The idea is we've established that we have a head coach who has shrunk under the brightest lights when his decision making is necessary, or the lackeys that he puts under his stead who who follow his lead because he's given them the floor. Brian Dable was the only one who pushed back against him, and look where he is now. He's a head coach. It's not going well, but he's a head coach. Where's Ken Dorsey going after this? The unemployment line. I mean, that's crappy. I shouldn't say that. But literally every year that you let this go on for, you're continuing to risk what we've been, what the John Fox Broncos were. And we'll never know what could have been if this franchise had just decided it was serious about winning a title and eschewed the safety and comfort that we've all fallen in love with since Sean McDermott got here. Since he broke the drought back in 2017 and made us all feel special. And shoot for something just a little bit better. I'd like to think that we all think we deserve that, don't we?
There you go. That's Drew from, dude, I want to say it was week 10, Broncos 2023.
I believe that.
That was actually from post-Cincinnati game. After we lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, and I called November 9th, 2023, after the Buffalo Bills lost to Cincinnati, and I called Nate's show and tried to bail Nate out on air. I came to the podcast with that thought. And now here we are again, and it's the same problems that I've been talking about for 2 years.
Tom's a flat circle.
Exactly. I could crush that can right there and talk to you in a whistle tone about how, Tom is a flat circle, and I'm going to pick this booger, and I'm going to eat it. And wait, is that the Jim Carrey?
That's the Jim Carrey version.
That's the Trevor Lawrence
Yes.
way to do things.
The Trevor Lawrence. It's funny that guy got in a 2-minute span. You picked a booger and ate it on national television, and then you tripped and fell over your own offensive lineman, but somehow crawled in for the most hilarious game-winning touchdown.
I've always said Trevor Lawrence, if they were ever to do a live action remake of the TGIF ABC show Dinosaurs, Trevor Lawrence would be hired for that show. He
Actually,
looks like a dinosaur.
I do know the movie. I know the show. Yeah.
So, do we not all deserve the pursuit of something better? I think we do. And the problem is that we're 3 years now down the road, 2.5, and nothing's changed. It's the same complaints. It's the same problems. Nothing. And there's no fire being lit under anyone to do anything differently. We're stuck here. The gilded cage is real. The gilded cage. Like, think about this idea. Colts, back when they had Peyton Manning, but couldn't get past the divisional round.
Uh-huh.
And you go, wait, what? We have Peyton Manning. And then you'd run into a team in the playoffs that was just better coached.
Debating Manning, man.
And then Pittsburgh Steelers fans with Mike Tomlin, who literally now are living this life of we're going to go 500.
They don't have a good quarterback, though. So
they're going to go 500 again, maybe sneak in as a wild card, and then get buzzsawed in the first round. It's going to be on like 5 years in a row of this.
yeah, and they give up insane amount of points, just like averaging 40 points, giving up a game in the playoffs. Yeah, it's crazy.
Chargers fans who never saw a Super Bowl with Phillip Rivers, despite all of the talent that he had. LaDainian Tomlinson, Antonio Gates, Victor, what was his name? Victor
Wembanyama.
No, damn it.
Yes.
I hate the both.
My
of you.
man.
How do you know NBA? That's not your sport.
Dude,
Stick to hockey.
he's well versed in all sports.
So Drew and I talked about this because of work. I can't listen to podcasts at work. I've been listening to XM radio, and where you would get this, Drew was like, "How could you listen to like XM? They have some of the worst callers." I'm like, "Their callers are actually smarter on XM because you have to pay for XM."
That's right.
If you have Nate's job, just anyone can pick up. the phone.
Literally, Drew from Cheektowaga could pick up the phone.
Dallas.
And that's the problem. Dallas from Eden.
Yes.
So I guess at the end of the day, what we're stuck here is with the old adage, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. What are you scared of? Blowing this thing up? Everyone's like, oh, go back to the Stone Age. So what? Maybe you risk this. Maybe you do. Maybe it sets you back. Is anybody really afraid to just let all this go?
Yeah.
Let it all go. Blow.
There's
up
nobody
this entire
there.
thing.
There's nobody there that is capable of making that happen.
If you were to right now decide, hey, I could take a shot at greatness, and I could go get whether it's a new head coach, because I know that, like, it depends on who you trust in the power structure, but head coach, GM, or do you rip the whole thing out root and stem? And as owner, do you start again? Or do you hire a president of football operations and go, hey, let's start this whole thing over, but with Josh Allen and an actual football adult in the room? I don't understand why anybody, regardless of how they choose to address it, I don't think it would be worse than where we are today. And you can argue with me, but I guess the idea is, would you gamble and know that you took a calculated shot at glory? Just like the Eagles did with Doug Peterson, where they hoisted a trophy and then fired the coach 2 years later. But it didn't matter. Did the fans care? No.
But
it's not my job to care about the coach. It's not my job to care about the GM. It's my job to care about whether or not this football team reaches its potential. And if the guys here can't do it, I need somebody to bring them in. Somebody needs to bring in a crew that can.
I have a great quote from my favorite civil engineer, M.M. O'Shaughnessy, who is the engineer of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Okay.
He says, it could always be worse. By the way, that's a pull from Superbad. If any of you guys, M.M. O'Shaughnessy, my second favorite civil engineer.
Guys, for those of you who showed up, the thing I want you, for those of you still here listening, for some reason, I love you all. What I want you to walk away from this from is the ideas. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's a word salad that got botched. What I want you to walk away
you sound
from
like a
this
communist
podcast
dictator.
with.
It's about the ideas.
I want you to walk away from this. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if this entire apple cart gets turned upside down and you start over again with the tools that you already have in the shed. Because you'd already be farther ahead of where Terry Pegula found the team. You'd already be farther ahead of where Sean McDermott found the team. It's not like you're starting from scratch. It's not like you have nothing. You would be picking up legitimate NFL contracts on good left tackles, good right tackles, a good line, a good running back, a great quarterback, a former MVP quarterback. You would have all of the things. You just have to be willing to take the shot at greatness. And I just hope that at some point, either Terry Pegula or, God forbid, like, he needs to bring somebody in to do it for him. Somebody needs to come in and use these tools to take a real shot at greatness. I don't know. I'd like to see it. I'd like to think it exists for all of us out there. But Chris has been lassoing me for
45 minutes.
I've been ignoring him, guys. I've been running long, and I don't care. We are the guys in WGR who talk about the late to the break.
Late to the break, baby. Late to the break.
I'm late to the break. I don't give a shit about Chris being like, we're going too long.
I have to pee.
Guys, it's been fun. I'm happy you got to see this new layout.
It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun.
I almost think the conversation's better like this.
Yeah, it's far more casual. I don't feel the need to.
We also got 7 subscribers during the live show.
There we go.
It's because of how comfortable we are.
It's a hang.
Yeah.
Because it's a hang. It's dudes being dudes.
And they're like, dude, I could watch these two dudes sit on sex chairs all day.
Hey, listen, I mean, eroticism's right. Don't harsh my vibe.
Sex sells. For you, maybe not. Like, maybe it wouldn't sell that well for you.
You know what we're going to do is we're going to get an ad from Man Groomer.
That's
the thing. Do you
Feet
know?
Finder could be your future.
Hang on. Do you know that I turned down for years?
Hand modeling?
No, Manscaped. Manscaped kept trying to pitch us on podcast ads.
Yeah,
and
because our show is so good that we just can get any ad that we want.
So you can turn away Manscaped.
And what I told Manscaped was, I'm not a shill. I promote Montucky because I drink Montucky.
Sure. I don't shave my pubes, so I'm not gonna promote your product. I got full bush.
I use a Mach 5 like a real man. I take it down to the steel. We're flying down here, baby. I'm in the jet stream all the time. Woo! And on that note, it's time to end the podcast. Guys, this has been great. I'm happy you all decided to spend your Tuesday evening with us. I'm Drew Gear. That's Chris Kruger. That's Nathan P. Geary. And this has been your Rockpile Report.